Good evening from Bordeaux. It's been a beautiful day here. And again, beautiful days and quiet days encourage reflection. And the thought that occurred to me, hence the title about ambushed at credibility gap, Vietnam and Lebanon compared, in fact is a blast from the past, so to speak, because I'm old enough to remember the Vietnam War. I almost served in Vietnam and wrote a great deal about Vietnam since then. And I can remember the New York Times coverage of a lot of the events in daily reporting of thousands of Americans, soldiers and civilians serving in Vietnam, and then the tremendous tide of events involved in this, what was in fact Confucian Civil War between North and South, and from a Vietnamese point of view, a war of national liberation and national unity and independence. So the New York Times reviewing at the time was extremely uneven because of ambiguities, uncertitudes in the head of the editorial leadership of the newspaper. But as an Asian expert, looking back, standing back, it was a remarkable unwillingness to deal with Vietnamese realities. The American situation, the complexities of that, the government's position on things, the actual what was happening in the field, all of this led to the famous remark about credibility gap. That what the government was saying was going to happen and what actually did happen weren't in any way in sync. For those of you who have long memories, the 1967-68, the Tet Offensive, which wasn't supposed to happen, when the North Vietnamese and their allies overran large parts of the South, and they penetrated the grounds of the American embassy in Saigon. This was not supposed to happen. The government's line on winning the war was thrown into complete contradiction. It was made nonsense of because what was advertised as a position was an unrealism. Now, of all places that this might arise now in Lebanon is extraordinary. I mean, there are claims on social media sources, some of them who have either research teams or vivid imaginations or some mixture of the two, talking about the destruction of Israeli aircraft over Lebanon in an unprecedented manner, the massacre of IDF troops, the bombing, the heavy shelling, missile attack on northern Israel, let alone Tel Aviv and Haifa, which is not reflected in the pages of the Jerusalem Post. Now, the Jerusalem Post, after military censorship has eased, has come to life. It's a lot better than, it was a dry period there for a while, as I've observed, of just reporting what was going on, let alone analyzing it. But it's not there. And the Israeli government's position on this strikes me as, I'm not an expert, I'm not there, I don't speak Hebrew, but the line being argued, one has to respond to serious arguments, shall we say, for lack of a better term, even speculative arguments about what's happening militarily, to be credible. Silence is not an argument, or chest thumping. It's all fine, when it apparently isn't. So this whole point of what the function of journalism in wartime, how to be loyal, how to be patriotic, how to uphold the national cause, perfectly understandable. But the idea that you will not understand what the enemy is about, and there was a blanket refusal to do that. You just mention the word terrorist and all discussion ends. Much like in Vietnam, just mention the word communist and all discussion ended. This is not bode well. And the credibility gap issue rises here. Then the business of reporting and dealing with claims like of serious material losses, unprecedented aircraft losses. This cannot be agreed with silence. I don't think. Israeli circumstances are quite particular, and I'm an outsider and I'm not there. I agree with all of that. But the Johnson administration never recovered from the Tet Offensive. Never. No one ever quite believed them again. And the question I'm asking quietly, sympathetically, is will the Israeli government ever recover from the last 2 months? Because of what has happened and what has not been said. But, as I say, this is friendly fire from afar, but one cannot help but be unnerved by